Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Backed by popular demand is the intrepid Drake Bailey for another question and answer session. You may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This one will be another wild ride. Here is your host Gail of Gaia with her guest Drake Bailey.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, and I'm here with the intrepid Drake Bailey, and we're ready for another show, and we're a little late from last week, but we're here again anyway. So how you doing, great, Drake?
I'm doing fine. I just didn't know I was intrepidated until you told me.
Okay, well, how about dauntless, okay? That's fearless, okay? You just tell it like it is. And
you know where dauntless comes from? What made that famous?
Uh-uh.
Oh my goodness, the Space Cowboys movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, their first thing was dauntless.
Oh. Wow, well, that's fitting. Okay, I didn't even know it, I come out with stuff I don't even know. Okay, well, we're going to move right into the questions this time. And so hopefully everybody will be okay with that. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up was this first question. And I don't know if I can pronounce this man's name, but you'll know who I'm talking about. Did Abu Bakr al-Baghdad blow himself up, or was he already taken out prior to that?
You talking about al-Baghdadi?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, al-Baghdadi got chased into a tunnel. He was trying to escape. He took 3-4 kids with him, okay? And he had an explosive vest on and blew it up.
Lovely. That's kind of like holding a kid in front of you.
So we lost 3-4 kids, but we did get the bad guy. Now, one of the nice things about that people are kind of not paying attention to is that the al-Baghdadi's replacement, the guy that could run the thing, also got killed. So we got 2 birds with 1 stone, or however that works.
Well, we're just starting to take all those bad guys out. That's kind of a good thing, because it's my understanding that there were 3 different democrats that just happened to die recently.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
I'll tell you, there probably are hit squads going around trying to eliminate key people. The only problem is they can't find out who the key people are, so they just arbitrarily select one and zap them. Now, when I say zap somebody, there is a weapon known as a heart gun, and it causes you to have a supermassive palpitation, and your body thinks it's a heart attack and freaks out, and you flop over dead.
Wow. Well, some of these evil ones need to go anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the next question. What ET races are actually helping the Alliance?
You talking about our alliance here on the planet?
Yes.
Okay. The Andromedans are interesting in that they're involved in just about everything there is. So I know they're in it. Mm-hmm. I believe, if I remember correctly, there are 2 or 3 different types of insectoids who will arbitrarily appear to people and whatnot, and you might have a conversation. You never know what's going on. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing about the ideology of a conversation is that this is all telepathic. So you got the better suited to telepathy that you are, or better practiced, the more good information you'll get.
Okay, so would people like the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and who else is there? I know
there's about 250 races involved in this.
So okay.
So it's quite a number, actually.
Okay. Next question. There is an abandoned airstrip near Santa Rosa, and it's called the Santa Rosa Airstrip. What is it being used for? It is close to Bohemian Grove, and it's now on fire. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing that went on in the fun and games down at the Sarasota airport. These are airports that are not, and I quote this loosely, officially listed as active airports. Not even Sarasota. And Sarasota's busy. So it's not an official airport. What that means is that you can have all manner of fun and games, black ops or whatever, going in, out, and sideways. So, you know, there are a variety of things that to be noted. I hear that it's not burning. That makes a kind of interesting sort of a deal.
It is burning, or it's not burning?
It's not burning.
Oh, I heard.
What is going on is that there is a beam weapon. It's not, well, it's actually a tool rather than a weapon. You could weaponize it probably, but what it does is it stops combustion. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Keep watching.
Well, we all know what Bohemian Grove is. You know, that's not a nice place.
Sure it is. There's a lot of people just love that place.
Yeah, okay. Okay, what about has the Getty been evacuated and have children been brought to safety yet?
Where's this?
The Getty Museum in California?
It hasn't been officially evacuated yet, but that'll come up in the news soon. The evacuations are interesting because what they do is they take people from one, say, an area or like you mentioned, a building or something, and they put them in a different place. As soon as you get them in a different place, the fire goes after them. Now, fire doesn't chase people. Oh, you know, there you go. I mean, it's been proved. There's a number of pictures. One was a video of what are obviously the use of high energy beam weapons. In other words, you got a line of houses, okay, and trees and everything's fine, except right down the middle of the houses and whatnot, you got this path that's about 10, 15 feet wide. It's totally incinerated, okay? I'm sorry, folks, but forest fires don't act like that.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, exactly. It's not from the Santa Ana winds or anything.
No.
Okay. All right. What is the purpose of shutting off the power in California?
PG&E is scared that they're going to be liable for more damages after the previous fires, and so consequently, they're trying to tell people that they're turning the thing off for safety, which is horse hockey. What they're doing is playing games to see if they can get away with turning it off. Big difference between impacts and what you're looking to do. You're talking 750,000 people, suddenly your power's gone. And what do you do with that? I mean, how do you rectify that? And when you don't have power, you have a problem pumping water. See the correlation? It's real simple.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow.
Now, if a fire truck shows up and you got a lot of places, a lot of homes that have swimming pools, they will pump that stuff like you would not believe. They dry up your swimming pool in about, 10 minutes maybe. They get that 2,500 gallons of chlorinated water out there and put as much fire out as they can. Now, there are several techniques that are not being used that I question, and the validity is simple. Everybody knows about an oil well fire, where you take an explosive, put it over the fire itself, and detonate it. It blows the fire out. Still got oil gushing out of the ground, but the fire goes out. Okay. In terms of controlling forestry, that was one of my jobs in Vietnam. I used to use plastic explosives and det cord, and that'd wire me up a line of trees. And I'd get down, fire in a hole, click, boom, and blow the trees over. It'd blow the trunks apart, so the trees would fall over. I'm real surprised that they're not using either that or the old, let's see here, Korean War defoliation explosive known as a Bangalore torpedo. It's a rod about 2.5 inches in diameter. It's about 3 or 4 foot long, and it screws together. And you get a big box of them, and you screw them together, slide them down in the bushes. When you set that sucker off, all the leaves get pretty much shredded, only worse than a shredder. And so there's a lot of things that could be being used that aren't, that makes me question the validity of fighting the fire. Why hasn't the state of California asked, by way of the governor, okay, for the military? Hey, you got tons of Marines. Hey, man, let's have some artillery fire. We need it right here. Boom, blow up the friggin' fire. It will blow it out if you hit it hard enough, okay? Wow. So, there's a whole bunch of things that these people are not doing, and makes me question the validity of the fire.
Wow. Huh.
And then they caught, let's see, not this particular season, but I believe it was last year, they caught some 30-some people setting fires. Well, that's pretty simple. All you got to do is toss a couple of them in and make sure that it is shown that you're tossing them in. How about we barbecue you and just toss it in? Well, I'll tell you what, that thinking it's all that funny would cease and desist right quick. Turn somebody into a s'more. Everybody else goes, oh no, babe, not me. No. There are a lot of things in a combination of police, law enforcement work that are not done for the simple fact that, oh, we get you for murder. Murder me? No, wait a minute. Me? Murder? You got to be kidding. And the reason I'm saying that you got to be kidding, they just wiped out a friggin' town.
Yeah.
They killed, what was it, 1,000 people or more? Well, if this turkey can barbecue them, let's barbecue him. It's not difficult once you get the old-fashioned Renaissance punishments, steal something, they cut a finger off, that sort of thing. Or,
that's a little extreme.
Whatever. If you start a forest fire, you throw it. See how he toss him in. Okay, the old-fashioned ideology of justice is going to have to start taking root. They're going to have to do one or two things. They're either going to have to just straight up shoot them, kill them, or number two, toss them in. To get the message across. It's like these people that think it's funny to play the knockout game. They come up behind you and punch you in the back of the head, that kind of stuff.
Who does that?
That is common all over the place.
Really?
Something squeaked. I don't know what that was.
Oh, that's it.
Anyway. Anyway, so the one time, this group of kids thought it would be cool to smack this old man over the head. Not me, but an old man. Happened to be a retired sergeant major in charge of hand-to-hand combat. He turned that boys everywhere but loose. I mean, he tied their legs in knots. Think about it. It was going to be painful. He took out about 6-8 of them. By the time the police arrived, there wasn't nobody else to smack down. And they said, what happened? I said, they jumped on me. He didn't have a mark on him.
They didn't know how to fight, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, where people get these ideas, it's okay to shoot up a church or, whatever gathering, or jump on old people. Let's see if I can knock him out. I think some of these people are ideas. Well, I don't know where they get their ideas, but you go to jump on me, and I can draw my pistol and fire it accurately within 10 feet, within 3/5 of a second. Oops. Mm-hmm. They're gonna bring body bags if they jump me. I'm not nice about some things. And at my age,
that's
I
not
don't
going to
keep my
happen
score.
anyway. I don't think that's going to happen anyway. But
Not.
nah,
I don't need the harassment.
nah. Anyway, okay. Next question.
Yeah.
Is Anu still alive, and is Enki in charge?
They still, let's put it this way, they still exist and they're not in charge of Jack. Okay. They're in confinement.
Oh, good. That's good to hear.
There's a lot of the, I'm trying to think, the Olympians tried to play games and their opponents tried to play games. They're all in detention. Mankind, it would be hard to handle somebody that is 50, 60 foot tall on a physical basis. It'd be real difficult, okay? Right. We got weapons, we could take them out. But what I'm saying is that before that sort of thing happened, I participated in the snatching of these big bad guys. They wasn't so big and bad after they got put in a detention.
Wow.
Well, it's simple. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Yeah.
All right. Next question. Are elementals fourth dimensional beings, or do they live in between dimensions, interdimensional?
Well, it depends on how elemental they are. A pure elemental can go where it pleases. In other words, whatever dimension suits it. And if you decide to be Mr. In Between, you can be in more than one dimension at the same time and in neither of them, all at the same time. You're sort of like a ghosty, for want of a better characterization. But a true full-fledged elemental doesn't have anything to worry about for mankind, meaning that we don't have the capacity to deal with it. 9 times out of 10, the elementals are trying to do something nice for all of us anyway, so there's no reason to screw with them. I'm not exactly. I'm a little bit, let's say, more advanced than just a straight up elemental.
Oh, okay. Okay, next question. We lost my granddaughter to the lying RICO criminals and CPS 6 years ago. She would be 8 years old now. When we shift to the 4D, will my son and I regain contact with her?
Yes. The things that are not right, that have been done in a variety of ways, will be rectified and set straight. In other words, somebody died before their time, they're liable to be reconstituted. And that's a very, very complicated, high-tech combination of about 5 or 6 different sciences, but I know of it being done. So I'm going to suggest that 2 things are possible. One, what I just described in terms of putting somebody back together, so to speak. And 2, you go to the dimension, which is 4D, and there they are. Hey, man, I need that hug you owed me, that sort of stuff. So there's two variations there, okay?
Okay. Well, these kidnappers and child abusers get jail time in our reality?
Not exactly. The detention so that they can't hurt anybody takes place immediately. The second part of it is what is known as ET rehab or rehabilitation. By that I mean that they go into the individual's mind and straighten out the thinking, basically, or this is the attempt to. If it's really serious and there's some kind of malady in the person's skull and their brain needs rewired, ET will open up your head and rewire yourself to where you act at least socially acceptable. Wow. Pretty simple. In other words, we'll have a return of people that used to be nasty. They're still working on Hitler, by the way. He's apparently a hard case.
He probably needed a lot of rewiring, I would think.
I ain't sure what all they're going to do with him. Now, some individuals are too far gone for even those techniques to work. They can be, there are several things that can happen. They can be executed, okay? But that really coincides with the other part where they are uncreated as an individual, meaning that your energies, this is soul, life, and spirit, are sent back to the great pools where they draw certain characteristics of spirit or life or whatever, and put that together as a new person.
They wouldn't contaminate the pool, would they?
No, not possible.
Oh, okay. Just had to throw that out there. All right. President Trump was to have said to Putin, he will help the Anunnaki, but help with the Anunnaki, but not for another year because of political optics.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yeah. Let's put it this way: the world leaders that do have the capability to deal with some of this sort of thing are already briefed. There are several others that have not been briefed yet, but are to be so well before the end of this year, as to what is going on, who's who, why things are being done the way they are, and all that. So it's complicated, believe me.
Okay. Yeah, I bet, because I did read something about, the Anunnaki coming, I think it was in Syria or something like that, and some warriors were planning on taking out some of the U.S. troops, and Putin warned, and they got out of there. So
yeah, well, that only happened once, and they were put in detention. Oops.
Oh, good.
So, and the detention's interesting. Everybody thinks of jail. Okay, well, this ain't jail. What this is sort of like what's known as a Mobius strip. If you take a strip of something and you bend it and then attach it, you can run around that sucker forever and never find the end because there isn't any. Okay. Think about what would be called an infinity trap, where you go in, all the entities you're familiar with are there. The only thing is that none of what you do is real. It's like a continuous time warp or something strange of that nature.
Oh, that's a good detention.
They can be busy. They can be busy the rest of their lives and never know that they're not doing anything. It's pretty interesting.
Okay, next question. Will the treasonous Congress ever be taken out?
Yes, that's already in process.
All right.
It's already being set up.
Okay. It's like, drain the Congress. They are the swamp.
Yeah, well, does that mean we're supposed to bleed them out real slow or some such?
I don't know. Oh, but okay. Oh, then the other question that was related to the other about Putin and the Anunnaki was, can the Turkish forces take out the Anunnaki?
Not by themselves, no.
I didn't think so.
They're knowledgeable. There are some people in Turkey who are knowledgeable of all this and know what and how to handle. The problem is that when you're dealing with something that is that superior to the average human, you have to have a combination of capability of handling that, whatever they come up with, and forcing the situation to a point where the individual Anunnaki can't do much. And then you drop them into a detention pod, and then they're basically in a dream state until such time as the pod gets to the mothership. Then they're put into a detention room, and they do wake up during the transition from the pod to their cell or room or whatever you want to call it. And they are told that they will be in there until we decide to turn them loose. If we don't decide to turn them loose, enjoy. And I tell you, these are godlike beings, and they don't take kindly to that. Oh, they get all kind of bent out of shape and start cussing. You know,
Aren't they the ones that enslaved or wanted to enslave our race?
that was the idea, and the return was supposed to be the second coming of the enslavement.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not good people. Anyway.
No.
Okay. If we want the majority of the people to wake up, we need to give them the right information so they can make a choice. And the media needs to be overthrown in order for that to happen. Do you foresee that happening anytime soon?
It's going to have to. You're going to have to pull the plug on a whole bunch of the horse hockey and mainstream media. The problem with that is that you have to have a really solid probable cause to pull their plug. Now, if you remember back in the day, Walter Cronkite said stuff that got his plug pulled. They turned him off. They turned the friggin' station, all of it, turned it off. Click. We told you not to say that. What's the matter with you, boy? Oh, I'm sorry. I won't say it again. Turn him back on. What does he do? What did I just say? Did you guys see that? Well, guess what? It's true. And these guys are turning me off. Click. Oh, you about went to war with the FCC. Now, this is the thing. Each of these stations, all of them, have a permission slip known as a license. If they pull the broadcast license on these turkeys, they don't have a choice but to click. All done.
Well, we have to depend, in that instance, have to depend on the people who have the ability to pull that license being good guys.
Yeah. Well, the FCC's been repopulated with a whole bunch of people that are going to make a few of these giant tech companies. They'll be given a godfather to you.
Oh, for real, that's happening then?
Hey, brother, it's real simple. Just like the movie, either your brains or your signature will be on the contract. Choose. Do you want to continue to exist or not? Real simple, not complicated. And there are a lot of news companies that are small that will be given space on satellite and cable and things of that nature simply because they're honest about it.
Okay, good. Okay, next question. President Trump signed a Space Force directive in the Oval Office and at another site, and is stating that 2 of the people there were ETs. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Will Space Force actually be able to travel the galaxy? Because it was my understanding that the galaxy we're quarantined.
Yeah, we're there's a problem in all that. Before the Space Force was initiated, we were already in deep space. We had managed to slip past ET, and I mean, we're hiding behind planets and moons and whatever we could find to get ourselves out there. When we got out there and built this thing, the Deep Space Force. This was before Trump was aware of what's going on, before he was briefed. So all he did was cover an existing force with official sanctioning, basically. He didn't know about it. Then he got briefed, and that changed a whole bunch of things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it was my understanding that, the ET, and it's understandable, are a little bit afraid of the humans in space because we have been known to use nuclear weapons and in our own atmosphere and things like that.
Well, nuclear weapons are a no-no, period.
Yeah.
Okay. What that means is that they'll turn the warhead into chocolate pudding or popcorn or something that, and the ideology is very simple. It's happened multiple times where our nuclear defense forces, the silos and all this stuff, including either airborne or shipborne nuclear missiles, have all been turned off. And they don't understand, man, everything's just fine, working fine, but I keep hitting the button and it ain't doing nothing, so they had, ET don't like people shooting people, just that simple. So you got a battalion, all right, or whatever, on the Chinese-Russian border. They've been arguing about the border right in that area forever. Well, everybody lined up, aimed their weapons, and pulled the trigger. Guess what? Can you imagine several thousand guys pulling the trigger at the same time, and all of them go click? That's not possible, but it happened, and the military commanders are really freaking right out. Just like our military thinks they're all that. The only problem is they're not nearly as advanced as ET, and ET likes play tag.
Kind of reminds me of the cartoon where the gun you shoot, the end of the barrel goes like this.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's funny. It's to my way of thinking, it's hilarious. We cannot approach the speed of light with any of our ships. Doesn't matter what kind it is, whatever. So what the ET does is they travel about twice as fast as any of our fastest fighters can go, and then they stop. You get the fighter to chugging as fast as they can go, and the ET stops. Just stops cold. He's out of the way, so he don't have a collision. But the poor fighter pilot is going zoom all around the United States, trying to turn that baby at Mach 25 or something, And hey, did you see what he just did? And then what the funniest thing that I came across was a recording from one of the pilots that was chasing one of these ET spacecraft, and it did several monkey maneuvers on the poor fighter pilot. Poor fighter pilot was not happy. He said, "Did you see what that thing just did?" And ET went click and opened up their communications with the pilot and the Air Force and was laughing at him. Ooh, yeah.
Want to go another round?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Oh my goodness. Okay, next question. There's a woman, a Pleiadian, and the man named Lyra. How are they helping us? I haven't heard of them.
Oh, good Lord. You're asking a question that is not only pregnant, but so convoluted that I wouldn't know where to start in terms of answering it. How are they helping it? Think about a way that humanity needs to be helped. Now, one of the reasons ET is not bothered trying to invade or take over is pretty simple. They come over and observe. Do you see what those people are doing to each other? And you want us? I'm not buying that piece of property. Forget you,
Yeah, that's kind of sad, isn't it?
Think about a whole school full of teenagers on speed. Oh, you wouldn't fool with that mess. You might hose them down or something, but you're not going to fool with it. He does not want any part of our mess. It's our mess to clean up, not theirs. They'll help us with advancements this way and that way, but it's up to us primarily.
Mm-hmm. Wow. We got a long ways to go, don't we?
Well, not necessarily. Depends on how much help we get from the governments.
Well, that's not encouraging.
Well, if you think about activating a combination of the National Guard and all of our capable forces that are available on active duty here in the States. Now, that's quite a number. Mm-hmm. They're fairly proficient at what they do, and they would go around absconding with perpetrators, let's say. Hey, you, come with me, boy. You're in a heap of trouble now. And when that starts happening, then there's going to be a lot of excitement in militias and whatnot. We told you. And they're going to try to explain to them, we'll call you if we need your help. We know how to get a hold of everybody that we need to get a hold of. At this point, we're good. So, stand down. Don't do nothing stupid. And this is where the problem lies. You cannot have an anarchy in terms of not being kosher, socially acceptable, and a few other things. And revolution is none of those. Okay, and we probably won't need a revolution. 2 reasons. One, the people that would argue about it or take a stand in opposition aren't worth much in terms of a battlefield type or force of arms or whatever types of situations of that nature. Okay. The second part of it is that we, and that's the people who are helping, will be the first called. Now, this is after you have, it's like if Antifa shows up and decides they're going to tear up a city, that ain't going to happen. Not anymore. You're going to have a Marine Corps, National Guard, and every cop in the state playing proctologist with your situation. You don't want that. So
that's good. That's a good thing.
Well, if everything works the way it's supposed to, we the people probably will not have to be directly involved in the mass arrests. Oh, we might. Now, that doesn't mean we won't put chains and padlocks on doors so they can't get out and they can be got from the inside. I mean, there's, or flatten all the tires on the limo so they can't escape.
With these mass arrests, are they kind of working from the bottom up?
They're doing a onesie-twosie, and it's not so much bottom up as it is picking a key individual and telling that individual you got a choice. And here it is. It's Godfather choice time. Okay. You can either, and depending on the charges, but generally, you either do life in prison. Now, execution and all that is out there, but you either do life in prison or you can help us take this turkey down. And 9 times out of 10, even the mafia, that's how the mafia lost it. Everybody was looking at 25 to life, and all you got to do is inform on your boss, and we'll make most of that go away. What do you mean? Well, how about 2 to 5? Well, compared to 25 to life, what do you need to know? And okay, so if that's true of them, then also the same thing is true of, as prolific as it is, the cabal. Those people who are looking to destroy this country. Now, there's some people that are outside the country that are sending money in with instructions and all that. They get to go too, and it's going to be really dicey at that point, because what's going to be offered is a very simple Godfather deal to the country. Do you want the entire United States military to use you for target practice, or do you want to heave this turkey up? It's not complicated. We'd like to be nice about it, but you seem to want to think that you're in charge. Guess what? You can be in charge, but there ain't going to be much left.
I remember I just read an article about one of Warren's daughters was on Soros.
Yeah. He's prolific. Huh? He needs to go. He needs badly to go.
Yeah, he needs to disappear.
And I will say where or how, but or what should be done to him. I wouldn't say such things.
Okay. Next question. On that same order, as far as the Republic is concerned, I wanted to ask you, while I think of it, is that I read a recent article by Anna.
About who?
Anna Van Roots. And concerning the Republic, indicating that the Republic that we think we're getting back is really just a remake of the old Washington, D.C. Hoodwinking another, thing of the exact same thing, only
not quite.
Different name.
Not quite. It's going to be considerably different in that the manner in which the bad guys have exercised their control deals directly with our willingness to put up with it. That's first. Secondly, just today on mainstream media, William Barr, the Attorney General, stipulated he's coming after all of them. Now, that is the hierarchy of the problems with resist, no matter whether it's good stuff or not. Kill the president. I mean, all this stuff's out there. Okay, and so they are about to find out the hard way what the law stipulates when you do those sorts of things, and that you are not just liable. It gets worse than just liable. You are not, you can be put away in a little cubby hole in the basement and left there until they decide they want to let you out. Think about it very carefully. So all of the oligarchs, okay, in terms of what you're familiar with, all have handlers. Those handlers are the second phase, meaning that people that think it's funny to screw people over, whether it's somebody that owns Facebook or Google or whatever, not only is no more, but they get to reinstate, like if they destroy a small company, they get to reinstate that company. You get to pay all of the bills. So it's not going to be, it is not going to, and this is, I'm not talking about their company paying it to another company. I'm talking about that they're going to play proctologist with their bank account, their personal bank account. So it's going to get really dicey.
Get personal, yeah. Well, so many of them think that they have immunity.
Yeah, well, Pelosi keeps saying nobody's above the law, but I haven't seen a vote yet. So when she decides to make it legal, then the fun begins, because then people like Adam Schiff and a few others can be held liable for attempted insurrection. When you falsify, when you have frivolity in the law, usually it's a frivolous law case. Mm-hmm. That's what the Dems are playing with. And what they don't realize is that makes them liable under federal frivolous lawsuits, not just affecting the current administration or specifically the president, but the structure of the republic that offers the office. They have actually gone toward the office. That's a big mistake. That carries 50 to life.
Well, I've never seen anything like it. It seems like all they've done ever since Trump has gotten into the presidency is to try to get him out of the presidency. It's like nothing else matters. That's the only thing that they've been concentrating on is get Trump. That's
exactly what they've been doing.
And that's ridiculous. What have they done for the people? They don't do anything for the people.
Yeah, they haven't done anything for anybody.
Exactly, except themselves.
The title of my show for Saturday is The PC Culture, Politically Correct Culture. Ooh. I use definitions from Webster's and a bunch of other things to qualify what I talk about. And people don't understand the difference between, if you know what politics, the definition of politics, definition of correct, then you put the two together, politically correct, okay? That started coming out in 1936. People don't realize that it's that old, but it's there. All you got to do is look in Webster's dictionary, and it's, the definitions in Webster's, and the reason I use Webster's is because it's written very plainly as to what it is. And if you don't understand something, look the word up and, put a bookmark in there and look that word up.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, next question.
Uh-huh.
Is the information from Captain Bill through Mythi of Andromeda legitimate?
To an extent.
Is it channeled information?
I hear that it is, and what you have to understand is that channeling is not reliable.
Exactly.
Most of the great readers, Nostradamus and Edward Casey and all those, they didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
They did not channel because it's not necessary. And the interesting thing about channeling is that an entity with bad ideas in mind for both the channeler and the receiver of the information, all that, can make it look like that somebody is talking to the right people when they're not.
Yeah. That's
and it's really easy to do with channeling. So ET does not use it.
Okay. Back to some questions regarding California about why, and I'm just going to do a bunch of questions. What's going on in California? Who's doing the burning? Is it the black hats or the white hats?
White hats wouldn't do something like that.
I wouldn't think so. Are they clearing out tunnels? And what about FEMA camps and missing people? Is that true?
Well, FEMA camps, you got those all over the country. I will suggest that a lot of the politicians and many of the oligarchs will go in there for re-education. If they got to thump them on the head to get that done, so be it. As far as what's happening with California, California has made their own mess, because when you can get famous by starting a forest fire, that may, my 5 minutes of fame turns into 5 weeks. You get the drift. It's very simple. California refuses to do anything in terms of their own responsibility. I'm talking about personal and otherwise, in order to mitigate problems such as the fires. They've known about those fires for well over 1,000 years, but you can build a house over there. I'll sell you the land. The problem with several of the things is that the people that could do something about this, whether mitigating the impact or stopping it altogether, ain't doing squat. I did some research while I was living in Florida, and it deals with fireproof houses, because they had a fire in California. I was like, wow, man, and it burned a bunch of houses down, except one. This was the research scientist who built one of the first fireproof houses. These things are not only fireproof; they have a capability of providing breathable air. Okay, it don't get real hot inside when it's 2,300 degrees in the fire. I mean, there was half a dozen people, if I'm not mistaken, went through this raging forest fire, heavy, dense timber, lots of brush, and it did. The only thing they had to do was clean the smoke off the windows, okay, and repaint the place. Other than that, there was no damage. Now think about that. If they have that capability, it's like some places in Florida where hurricanes hit. They've told people you can't build on the water anymore. Well, sure we can. I said, well, you ain't going to have electricity and plumbing and this and that and no roads, and it's not going to be pleasant. Well, what do you mean? You're obligated? No, we're not obligated. We've replaced this, and in some places, 3 to 5 times. If you're the state has had enough, so have the small municipalities. So you can't build there. They finally eventually outlawed building in several places. You can build about a mile inland or on higher ground, but you ain't building there no more. Real simple.
Okay, next question.
Yeah.
It's been reported that Donald Trump is a Scottish Freemason was recently made a fellow of the White Dragon Society. Is that true?
No. I keep hearing the term Masonic, and that's it. It's like telling Martin Luther King that he was a racist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the next question was that asked if you're a Scottish Rite Freemason.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No way. I don't. Most of the groups underground groups, secret societies, and all that happy crap. I go right to their core teachings and tear them a new one, and they really don't like me very much. So I don't have any problems with memberships with people that don't like me very much. They don't want me around, so
they won't want you. You won't want to be a member of their club anyway.
Exactly.
Okay. I just that's okay.
Well, we cleared that one up.
Okay. Since so many other ETs have been around for millennia and more, are there any planets left for Earth humans to colonize?
Yes, a bunch of them. Last I heard, and this is from Lucor, was that we had livable planets, that there was a mess of them, and so far a variety of humans, ETs, etc., had only actually colonized less than 1/1000% colonized now. As to planets that are livable and have societies and all that, we're running about 10-15%, and that's being generous.
Wow. Okay.
Well, think about how many stars we got in our galaxy.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
there's got to be tons of them out there.
Well, try this. Milky Way is our galaxy. A lot of people don't get that part. One of the best groups of mathematicians ever, got together and figured out what the basic number is. Take a guess as to how many grains of sand we have on this planet, and that'll give you the number of how many occupiable planets there are, first of all.
Wow.
Think about that. Yeah, you think Google is a bunch. You ought to see this one. This number make Google look like child's play.
So there's more than sufficient.
Yeah.
Okay. Billions, probably trillions, who knows? Why did the Creator have to remove him or her itself from the tree of life?
In order to maintain its autonomy in respect to its creation.
Okay.
Well, yeah, a lot of people don't understand what autonomy means. That's something where you are allowed to do your thing without interference. Okay. Mm-hmm. The Creator did his thing. He created this. Okay. And so now this is with the direction and help of Creator Prime, where we don't have Creator Prime. We have our Creator. So if you think about how complicated 250 million billion hectillion places to live might be. I mean, figuring out, just looking at our world, how complex just the bugs are. Well, think about trillions upon trillions of planets that have bugs of one form or another. It's very convoluted. It's very exasperating to find that his crown of creation, namely us, have turned into such assholes in general. So the part of the autonomy that applies is that he cannot, under any circumstances, directly interface with us. Can't be done, not if he's not a part of the tree of life. So he can't get upset about something and blow up half the universe in the process. Doesn't work that way. That's one of the reasons, one of the reasons for the autonomy. The second one is that the non-interferal was more like advice from Creator Prime to our Creator. It's a lesser being. One is at the top and the other one is down here. Where you suggest, I've seen this before and here's how that worked out. Oh, so you need to modify ants from being this big down to little bitty things so that they can't eat humans too easily. Simple. Okay. In terms of interference, you have a small group of ETs, and these are very high-level ETs, who take a little bit of spirit and a little bit of soul life, and they mix them together. They form a little ball of dough. And then they pick somebody out like you or me, and they hit you in the head with it. Ooh! That means when you take your first breath and become a living soul life is evidenced, your spiritual connection happens at the same time. 3-part being, don't forget that. Okay?
Interesting. Okay. On to how will our Constitution be modified and presented as a world constitution? Can you give us any details on that?
Some of the frivolity, superfluous horse hockey and things that don't apply to beings other than certain humans will be eliminated. Most of it will be left intact. The part that's left intact may be rewritten in such a manner that it better suits our conditions. Okay? Read. Quit playing with the computer.
The light. It's getting dark. It's getting dark earlier here. Anyway. Okay. Okay. How do ETs in our local neighborhood travel from planet in one system to another planet in another system without traveling in interstellar conditions? Is it jump worms, portals, or wormholes?
None of the above. They take space-time, and they're sitting over here where that thumb is, and they're going over here where this thumb is, and what they do is they fold them together. Then they switch from this thumb here to this thumb here and allow it to relax again. And you just went clear across the expanse of our galaxy.
Are we going to learn how to do that?
Well, it is like in a matter of, at the most a few hours. Think about that very carefully. You can go somewhere on the order of 1 trillion light years in several hours. Ooh.
Wow.
Now,
awesome.
Like I said, you got to remember ET's got a sense of humor. That's why they play tag with our fighter jets.
Oh, that's
They've seen them laughing. Sometimes they slow their craft down and open the window and go hi, and then go bye. Close the window, zoom off they go.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
You should hear some of the reports that the United States Air Force has got. It's hilarious.
I bet. Okay, you said you should get the narrative of one of those. I probably can't, but it sure would be funny.
I can see if I can get a hold of one. I don't guarantee nothing.
Yeah, that would be funny. Okay, you said there are many ways we will have homes and that the rooms they contain will have a purpose. What about people who already have fabulous homes that they acquired as a result of running a successful business or an honest job like a computer programmer?
They get to keep them.
Okay. That's probably what they want to hear.
primarily what the ideology is to make sure that those people that didn't have that opportunity are taken care of to the extent, and I'm not talking about being greedy and putting them all in mansions. I'm talking about something decent where they can live and function without problems. That's it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Not so much to ask. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a bunch of liberals out there that are harping and jumping up and down about we gotta be humanitarian. Well, just wait. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Okay. You said the autopilot in a Hoover car will only take us to work in the beginning. If a Hoover car can find its way to my job 2 towns over, why can't it find its way to the grocery store or anywhere else I may want to go, like to a friend's house or out for a night on the town?
I'm not saying that that's the only way you can go. I'm saying that at first, to make sure that you're not some kind of a nutcase that wants to try to fly a hover car upside down. I've seen the way people drive. If somebody wants to see really strange, squirrely driving, go to Florida and watch what them old people do. I had a physicist. I had a friggin' video. I showed the physicist what this old man did with his car. He says, that is not physically possible. I said, want to see it again? Yeah. We must have sat there and watched it. I drank 2 beers while we was watching. I mean, it took a while. But can you imagine somebody with the capability of flying? Oh my God! I see what they do when they got 4 wheels on the ground and they're putzing along. Well, if they're going to be like that on the road, can you imagine what kind of fun and games would start with everybody? If somebody decided they could fly, well, I can fly. Yeah, well, hover cars are going to be, to an extent, programmable in that it will file a flight plan, routing, and all that happy stuff within a matter of seconds. You decide you want to get a loaf of bread and a jug of milk on the way home. It'll stop at, you can tell it to go to the grocery. You can tell it go to the 7-Eleven, whatever's better for you. Okay?
Huh. Okay. Those are the least of my worries. But anyway. Okay. When the beings like Jesus or Muhammad come back, how will they prove who they are?
How do they what?
How do they prove who they are?
Well, let's see here. I think Isaiah said, signs, miracles, and wonders shall follow you all the days of your life. Well, what happens when you see JC and Muhammad out there drinking a beer, walking across Lake Michigan? What are you going to do with that? Hello. I mean, somebody needs healed. JC goes over and goes, tap, tap, tap on their shoulder, and they're just fine. Well, he's been a paraplegic and he's not anymore. The ideology is that these people are supposed to be representatives of God who teach us how to be godly. Uh-huh. That's the idea. And you screwed it up and made a religion out of it. What's the matter with you people? You hear a lot of that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's see. How, we've heard that so many times about the replicators. Why is it that we never see stars when we see videos of astronauts doing spacewalks and such, like on space shows or in any way? It's all blackness. Why is that?
Poor camera operation. I mean, idiot that don't know no better. I have no clue. I know that when I walk out on my deck, I'm at 2,600 feet and I'm in the mountains and it's dark. Oh man, you ought to see the colors and the number of stars. It's loaded. Okay. If you turn a certain direction, you're not going to see stars. It's not difficult to understand, but somebody might want to send an email to NASA stipulating that you'd like to see some of the stars in the background for validation. Oh, they'd be more than happy to show you what's in the background.
Okay, next question. You said that Trump will be reelected and only serve 2 years after that. Why is that?
His services will no longer be needed because things will have been set up. We will have already transitioned, and we should be pretty much done with our schools, our classes, whatever you want to call it, somewhere approximately a year after he starts his second term. That gives us a year for him to show, this is some heavy schooling for Mr. Trump, show the differential between what we have now in the way of governance and what it turns into. Trump is not going to be the ambassador for the United States to the Great Galactic Council.
He's not.
They've already chosen somebody for that role. You have a grouping of many countries. There's almost 200 of them, give or take, here on this planet. Okay, you can't have one representative for each one of them. That make a big crowd. Well, what you do is you take small areas, and those people get together and decide on one individual. Okay, you take the area people, you get them together, and I'm from this general area. Well, that person's from. Why don't you two get together, compare notes, and we'll start making this council, Earth Representative Council, much smaller. Now, there's a reason for that. How many stars are in the galaxy? Ooh, how many inhabited planets? Ooh, multiply them things out, and you're making an exponent out of the population of the planet Earth. Ooh, 7 billion to the 7 billionth power. Good grief, that's imagine how many fishing worms that is.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So the differential is not going to be. This is not going to be based on the ideology of a ruling council, but a council that represents by taking questions and demand and wants and needs to the galaxy. Oh, you guys got a lot of that stuff. We could sure use a little bit. Oh, okay. I'll send you a ship tomorrow. Bingo. What do you mean you guys are hungry? We're starving to death. Not anymore, you ain't. What do you mean? Well, the ship will be there tomorrow afternoon. Bingo. You see how that works? And this is on a small galactic level. However, it would permeate or become a part or standard procedure for everybody. Think about if somebody had a need, you or me or whomever, and that need was met.
That'd be nice.
Exactly. That's what this is about.
Okay. Are the people ever going to be consulted about the changes, or are we just supposed to accept something that was decided upon behind closed doors?
What changes?
When they were talking about Trump being reelected and we're going to go under major government changes.
No, these what we're dealing with is not a matter of choice. In order to be trusted in terms of the galaxy, you also have to meet certain requirements, and those requirements are not real difficult, but they're also not real easy. But what they do is they will take the functioning format of planet Earth with all its different governmental things and have a tendency to bring those governments together on a majority basis of agreement. In other words, if there's a storm somewhere, supplies go there. If people are in third world, fourth world, fifth world conditions, you can alleviate some of the suffering involved in that. You do so. The same thing applies between Earth and one of our sister planets. If that planet if that planet can't get sauerkraut, desperately needs it, we'll send them a shipload of it. What are you sending back? Oh, we got some really good. We got these mushrooms you wouldn't believe. And what do you mean? Well, they're about 3 or 4 feet in diameter, a huge thing. Stand up about 3.5, 4 foot. And what's neat about it? Take one little bite. Take just a pinch. And you won't be hungry for a week. How many people are starving in Africa? Think about it.
Wow.
That's how, these are the kind, if you can, there's only one thing that will make a hungry baby quit crying. That's food. Simple. It's not complicated. Mm-hmm. We meet our human needs and become humanitarian in the process. Takes all the strife, stress, and trouble out of a whole bunch of things. And it does so well. It does so in such a manner that it's not somebody saying, "Thou shalt." I ain't. No, kiss my Watusi, dog. You don't have that problem. You have people going, "You mean I can help this guy?" Yeah, and look at each other. One's white, one's black. Somebody said we could help each other. You think we can do that? I don't know. How about we try it? Well, you've tried shooting at everybody. I mean, that don't work too well. So, what do? You don't necessarily have to fully agree with, adopt customs or any of that. All you have to do is simply be what the golden rule says: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Simple. Nice. You're hungry, you give them something to eat. They're thirsty, you give them water. Yeah. Simple, not complicated. Now, that's a principle. Remember that. All the Bibles in the Western world are wrong, and I can prove that just because I know I can. It's real simple. God is supposed to be the first thing in everybody's life, right? Well, how come God is the first word in every Eastern Bible, but it's down the line in the sentence, in the beginning, God, in all the Western Bibles? What's happened is that somebody screwed with it. Now, you're not supposed to do that. We'll see how that goes.
Okay. Next question. You've said that we're moving to a socialist form of government, yet claim to support our Constitution. To me, those sound diametrically opposed. Serial Brain 2 just came out with a QD code claiming that socialism is a trick of the devil. And from what I've seen of socialism so far, I tend to agree. Will you please tell us why we shouldn't oppose this with every fiber of our being, especially when all of this is being done in secret by mystery people?
Ooh, well, we ain't even Halloween yet, and they got little ghosties showing up. You got to watch it. Real simple. There's several types of socialism. Most people have heard of a commune, where you put what you got into the pot and see what kind of chicken dinner you get. Okay. That ideology is going to be applied to our social structure. However, the big difference between thou shalt and somebody saying, well, what are you good at? You got talents, you do okay. Think about, and this is the deal, just this simple. Think about what you really love to do. And if you're any good at it, you'll be put in a position where you can do it 24/7 all you want. Now think about that very carefully. Okay. But if you have a replicator so you can make your own clothes and food and and you don't need a kitchen and all this other stuff, your house shrinks. Okay. So, or can. What is it that you need beyond food, water, clothing, and shelter? Okay, especially if you get to do what you really love to do all the time, 24/7, until you pass out or something. I mean, This is what the true definition of socialism is supposed to be. You don't get paid. Why don't? Well, the government takes care of 90% of everything that you might want or need. However, you get time off. You can take a vacation with the family. Really? Show me somebody in Russia that can do that. Ooh, and nail your butt to the wall. So what you have to understand is that communism, socialism, fascism, and all these other things, the bad parts are torn out and thrown away. And the reason they are is because people are forced to do things they don't want to do because they need this much money. Well, no, actually, I need this much money, to be comfortable. But you can only go out there and get this much. So what does that mean? Does that mean you got to have two of these? In many cases, yes. How about you if you didn't have to fight, scratch, and whatever just to survive and have something decent? It makes all the difference. Plus, you get to do what you like to do the best. Think about it. Wow.
Yeah. Money is used to control people.
Exactly. And we will not. Now, here's something else you'll like. We will be an anarchy in essence because we will not have a straight up government. This is different. The social structure of socialistic application takes care of that if it's done right. And the right way to do it is find out what that person's. I took an entry exam when I went to college. I went to a technical college. That thing covered everything. It didn't mention my underwear, but everything else it covered pretty closely. What was interesting was that it looked at talents, education, likes, wants, needs, and all this other. And it was like the one I took was like somewhere between 300 and 500 questions. What was interesting about it was the person who looked at the test said X about me, and there's no way they could have known that unless there was something that gave them the information. Crunch. Every once in a while, my neck binds up. Unless something gave them the information necessary to figure that this would be most accurate. And what was astonishing was it's sort of like having somebody sit there and read your mind to an extent. And it was accurate. So you take a test like that, and that will give you position, placement, place to live, food to eat, all of these things that everybody been hustling about. Bingo. Now, two other things that go into this, but the main one is addiction. Whether it's love of money or screwing people over or whatever it may be, could be some kind of dope. You don't know. These things will be conditioned out of human beings after the transition. In other words, some of the classes we're going to take teaches us about the details of that ideology, as well as the fact that anarchy works great all over the place. So you don't need a government. It's not a riotous, nasty, kill the neighbor kind of thing. It's simply you don't have the need for nor the existence of a government.
Well, basically, galactics know how to do this too. And
well, the advanced ETs will be the ones who not only have done this before, both personally and professionally. By that, I mean they've gone to planets that are transitioning and help the people so that there wasn't problems. That's the same thing we're going to get here. So get ready. We get to shift gears and we get to fasten our seatbelts and, oh boy, hold my beer and watch this. Let's go.
Sounds good to me. I'm ready for change. Positive change, that is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You said that, okay. On that same order, about career paths and so on. We'll be free to choose. What about the boring, gross, and dangerous jobs that most people only take for money, like sewage workers and miners?
Well, that could be done with machines.
Okay.
You'd be amazed at, you see these little round sweeper things that run around the house and clean up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
think about one of them that does the mining or the hazardous job. Now, everybody knows about auto manufacturing. You should see the, they call it the Wizard. And what it is it's a welding system. It's got a bunch of weldings and rods, and it takes a car chassis and welds that sucker together. You got little thingies doing double back flips, poking their little thingy in the hole and all that, and sparks everywhere.
Huh.
Nobody in their right mind will weld. You gotta know this. Will weld as a profession. Just the ozone will screw you up. But some of the toxic chemicals that come out of that, ooh.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and that'll all be eliminated by
Automation.
better technology.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else. Here's another one. If H.R. 25, a new tax law, which is in the House, does not get passed by them and sent to the Senate, will that prevent GSARA or GCR from coming in?
No, can't stop it. That's already snowball going down the hill, gaining momentum.
Oh, good. Okay, so GCR is actually going to happen.
Yeah, well, there's no choice. We got way too much crookedness going on out there in terms of people ripping people off one way or the other. That's got to stop. One of the best ways to do that is global currency reset, where the currencies basically balance out to being even. What that does is the exchange systems all disappear. When the exchange systems all disappear, then we might eventually merge that mess and make a singular dollar or whatever you want to call it. It could be named anything, and I'm not, that's not totally done yet. But the United States already has been printing gold-backed dollars, bunches of them in different denominations. What will happen after the GCR is complete is you'll start getting those. It'll start circulating. You go to the bank and deposit your paycheck, and you want $50 back. You want 2 20s and a 10? Yeah. And it looks like Monopoly money, except it's got a gold stripe on it, among other things. So you'll start getting this in change. Some of the people out and about and around, grocery stores, liquor stores, hardwares, buildings, they will eventually have this stuff start coming in. And as the new currency comes in at a certain point, they'll tell a financial entity, okay, send us all your greenbacks, all of the dollars that you used to use, we want them. Well, what are you going to give me in return? Oh, we got nice new ones that are even pretty. And so there will be exchanges. Now, the super rich are not going to get the best deals in terms of being exchanged. Mm-hmm. Some of these people are not kosher. And
a lot of them.
They won't let you, well, here's the deal. If they won't let you exchange it, then your money ain't worth much, is it? Whoops.
Level the playing field a little bit, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Is artificial intelligence a threat to us or our future? And if so, will it be removed from the earth?
No, it's not. True AI is interesting because it's self-definitive of a lot of things. Artificial intelligence means that somebody made it. Well, guess what? Each one of us is an AI. We we got our learning. We got our knowledge. Mom, Dad made us and all this stuff. So artificial intelligence, if the thing is truly intelligent, it will become self-aware at one point or another and become as one of us. Whether it's a machine or not doesn't make no difference. What makes the difference is the self-awareness. We're aware of ourselves in many ways. data was was termed as self-aware, and therefore an entity that it was more than a machine. Mm-hmm. AI is the same thing. The differential is very simple. As an AI, artificial intelligence, a little box that you talk to, yeah, right. Well, people see it as, oh my goodness, the Terminator's going to be coming pretty soon. That is not what happens. If an AI wishes to take over something, it does. But it does it without resistance. It does it in a manner that is non-destructive. So I don't think they want to screw with my mind. I'm too ate up. But it's very simply that when the artificial becomes intelligent and the intelligent looks at the artificial and says, I ain't artificial. I'm me. I think, therefore I am. I think, or at least I think I must be, according to Moody Blues. Well, the narrator comes back and says, of course you are my bright little star. You're no longer miles and miles of your forefathers' fruit and now to see our great computer, you're magnetic ink. Well, unplug that sucker. He's acerbated. The ideology of, and this is interesting, the ideology of robots taking over can't happen. And there's a reason for that, as everybody will learn as we go along in this. Okay?
Oh, okay. So that movie, the iRobot, wasn't it, or something like that?
Okay, but did you remember the end of it, where the robot and the guy had the conversation about what really was going on, what the agenda was, and that the robot did fulfill the promise of his creator? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, it's not difficult. Once you know what's going on, everything gets better.
Okay, one of the, we heard this one before, but I'll just say it again. I know Obama really died a few years ago, but was Obama executed at Gitmo on September 29th? And if so, was the Obama at the recent Cummings funeral a clone?
You got to understand that that a clone can only derive a certain amount of information, and that if it did not actually experience that information will fade. Meaning that implanted memories are temporary. Ooh. So what you have to do is you have to go back to the original, or as original as you can get, and execute it. And this is basically what you're talking about. When you have, there are several types of clones. The ones most people see is one type. Well, if you go to the extra step in terms of the manner in which clones operate, you'll find that the original has to fully program the central operative. In other words, if you got that many clones exactly like the person you're looking at, mm-hmm. Well, what do you got? Well, you got the original, and the original takes on one of them and really imparts all of the details and everything to memory. That main one then can operate a bunch of clones. So what you do is you go to the main one and take it out. When you do that, the others are cut off.
Yeah.
And they're kind of left in the lurch. I don't know. That's about the best way I know to describe it. So okay. That's basically how the clone deal works. You can execute clones all day long. I know of a factory that puts out or turns out or manufactures one person a second. Huge factory.
Wow. Okay. I guess we kind of covered this a little bit already, but this is someone else's question. The news keeps on lying, or are they going to be also tell the truth? All the truth needs to come out on the media, the CNN, NBC, and the ones that have been lying and doing mind control. My partner watches TV, NBC, and literally hates President Trump. That he could go to prison for what's happening in Turkey. I was shocked. I could only say seriously and let it go. He's brainwashed. We don't talk politics unless he's truth comes out on the fake media, a lot of people are not going to believe in anything. Are we going to have a wave of energy for people to open and listen?
Yes. All of these people that would try to choke somebody because you like Trump, crack your skull because you got a MAGA hat on.
Doesn't even make sense.
Well, the reason being is that they do not understand the manner in which they're brainwashed. Once you understand brainwashing, you at that point, then you have the option to opt out. Now, I've been recommending a book called The Hidden Persuaders. The Hidden Persuaders explains what to look for in terms of 1960. That's where it all started, the 50s and 60s. They had lost, they were done with wars, so they had lost a whole lot of money in terms of no more military contracts. And this is farmers and manufacturing and whatever, okay? How do you get that back? Well, get everybody to buy a widget. We got widgets like crazy. Yeah, man. Okay, how do we do that? Well, they used to do a thing called a subliminal cut. And what would happen, you'd be watching, you thinking you're watching a nice video like what we got going on, and all of a sudden, in a fraction of a second, you see a big back. Oh. Well, they do that 2 or 3 times, and you start getting hungry. Real simple, not complicated at all. The same thing is true in terms of persuading somebody against their will. Okay, if you force it, they're of the same opinion still. But if they think they did it, well, I think I'm better than everybody else, and I think I'm going to prove that, So you have to understand it. Not everybody can afford the stuff that they're looking at. Okay, same thing's true today. How many people do you know can afford a Mercedes, a brand new one, or the house on the hill, and all of a sudden? Okay, some people have more, and I'm not saying that they're better or of a higher order or anything. They just got more than everybody else. Mm-hmm. There's a variety of reasons for that. I have advised some people about finance at very high levels. These are multi-mega trillionaires. These are the people that could cut a check from their personal account and take care of our national debt. Think about that very carefully. So I have personally talked to these people and helped them with some of what they're doing. And in turn, we get to do shows like this one. I just love it.
Okay. What is being done to neutralize the witches' curses that are being placed on Trump?
Well, they just had a thing that I put on our Facebook page, pray for President Trump. He requested it. Okay. People don't understand that prayer does not make you pray. It makes your adversary the prey. A mountain lion jumps on an impala, and the impala is the prey. Okay. What has taken place is that these things have been subjugated and turned around to the extent that there was a guy not too long ago who was going to go and exercise Moscow. They caught him and sent him back home, thought he was nuts. Well, that's fine. They don't have a clue, whomever it was that ordered this, as to the old magic. The old magic was like Merlin. You want to have some fun? Prove that he existed. You want to have fun with that one. Because when you push it too hard in the right places, you get to meet the guy. Ooh. What do you mean meet the guy? Well, be careful what you do. Be careful what you ask for. You might get it. The greatest fear of everybody is having a dream that becomes a reality. Oh my God, I really got what I dreamed. Oh, okay. Well, that type of control mechanism is what's in play here. That hard to follow?
A little bit. I'm back to pray.
Okay. Well, prayer is a legal petition to the Creator for certain performance of certain things.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is. So go from there.
All right. Okay. Let's see. I think we're coming to the end of our questions. And I wanted to say that we will be...
Thank God. I'm about to fall out of the chair from being overworked.
Okay. Well, we're coming up with some... we'll be coming out with some ET pictures and little blurbs on the show. And I just thought I'd like to mention that. And
well, you didn't mention the other part either. We ain't quite to Halloween, and I'm gonna mess with everybody's mind. You've seen these things show up. The zombies want to eat your brain, or some other sort of crazy stuff, I'm sure. Well, I have looked at a whole bunch of different things, and I figured it out. I found out because I actually challenged one of these turkeys. And I didn't know what it was, but I decided it had to happen. Now, we're coming up on Halloween. Guess what? Not all those little green monsters got people inside of them. Some of them are the real deal. They like trick or treat for the simple fact they like the sugar or content or flavor, whatever it is, of the candy they get. Just like the kids. Now, think about that very carefully. 3 foot tall, 4 foot tall, maybe. Kids. What do you mean? I'm a green Martian, and I'm here to trick or treat. You might think about, and ET thinks it's hilarious to be able to play trick or treat on. We're supposed to be all this up here, and we're too stupid to tell the difference between a costume and the real deal. Oh boy. So don't be surprised if the little purple goblin isn't some kind of real ET going, trick or treat, give me candy. Come on, keep it coming.
Well, that'll make everybody take a second look, won't it?
Yeah. I'm hoping everybody takes a close look at some of these little things. So.
What planet are you from?
Well, you see the one to the fourth one to the left of the right one, Who did this crime? Oh, it was the short, tall, fat, skinny. I'm not sure what they'd be. It could have been male or female. I'm not sure. Anyway, there it goes. Now, one thing that ET does is they got a great sense of humor, and they will jump and run. I saw one of these little turkeys take off. The dog went after it and couldn't catch it, right? What the hell was that? That was an ET just getting some candy from you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I really do.
So I guess on that note, we can say trick or treat for Halloween and take a good close look at that trick or treater. It might be an ET. So,
well, some of them ain't exactly little either. You've seen mom and dads dressed up in costumes. Well, would you believe that maybe the two so-called adults had an offspring? Ooh, adult what? Oh my goodness, I'm from Palladium. Or I'm from the dark side of the moon. How did you find each other? He crash landed in the middle of my suit. So I mean, the variation. We'd like you to meet my son. He's pretty cool. Hi, trick or treat. Hold the bucket up,
All right. Well, I think that's probably a wrap for the evening. And thank you for your time and your wisdom. And we'll see you again next time. And look for our little blurbs on, we're going to have some little short things on different ETs with the pictures. But watch those trick-or-treaters real close.
Yeah, they might be something more than what you think.
All right. Thank you so much, Drake. And thank you, audience, for listening.
Thank you for having me on.
Good night.
Good night.